be bold, be sure and confident in what you're doing and where you're headed in your mindset. But also a little bit to what I was just saying before, be prepared for change. When you only have a short experience of what it is in the workforce and you don't really realize what ups and downs can happen and you don't know how to handle that. So telling my younger self, I would have said, hey, don't worry, there's going to be a lot of shift, and it's just part of the nature of the industry and how our business changes from year to year, and just to roll with it. Don't be scared by it, to just embrace it and keep your head up and keep going.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership skills in the electronics manufacturing industry? Join Sannah Vinding on a transformative journey as she unlocks the key to exceptional leadership in this dynamic field. Discover invaluable strategies, emerging trends, and best practices through expert perspectives and insightful interviews. This podcast is your ultimate resource for gaining a competitive edge, staying ahead of the curve, and shaping the future. Tune in now and unlock the secrets to leadership success in the world of electronics manufacturing.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Mind Innovation Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Sannah Vinding, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you're chosen to join us today. This podcast is your ultimate resources for unlocking your full leadership potential in the dynamic world of electronics manufacturing. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, share this episode, and stay in the loop, with our latest content. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram for more updates, and your support is greatly appreciated. In today's episode, we will explore the changing markets in the electronics industry and also talk about company culture. So let's dive into it. Joining us today is our special guest, Tobi Cornell. She's the president of Kruvand Associates, a leading manufacturing rep firm in the electronics industry. Tobi plays a crucial role in fostering relationships with channel partners and driving the company's strategy initiatives. Her strong commitment to the electronics industry and her exceptional leadership skills make her an outstanding guest for our podcast. So get ready for a really great episode filled with inspiration and actionable knowledge. So welcome, Tobi. I'm so excited that finally, we booked it and you are on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really thrilled to be on here with you today, talk about Kruvand, talk about our industry and how we've all been evolving and changing as we've been going over the past, multiple years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How old is the company?
So we're actually just over 50 years old. Kruvand was founded in 1971. So we've been around for that length of time. We're basically headquartered out of the Dallas, Texas market, but we cover Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and we also have the country of Mexico. And in some areas with some of our product lines, we expand into Baja, into Brazil and South America. So we're really thrilled to represent all of our manufacturers in those locations. So
that's awesome. So that brings me to the first question, right? Because with that many years in your backpack, if you want to say that, I'm sure your brand or your company needs to develop new ways to engage with customers using different approach, like communication. If your channel is your website, so if you could share, what kind of transformation you've been through.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I was able and lucky enough to join Kruvand 24 years ago. So I've been with them for a really long time through a lot of different changing markets, changing times, changing strategies where, the majority of what we did was done on the phone or just in the car, and you would drive and as things have evolved, with email developing and communication, that way has really changed a lot about how we've all communicated with each other. But then just with the start of the pandemic in the past 3 years, it changed yet again. So, every time that, a new technology is introduced, we embrace it and accept it. And I think that's the only way you can grow, is to keep moving forward, to keep accepting those changes. So, we've gone from communicating with our customers and manufacturers, through phone and email. Now we do virtual calls. We'll do, our QBRs and reviews and stuff via Teams or Zoom. So we're all visible to each other, which is really nice to put that face with that voice. But then we also had to communicate with our customers that way too during the pandemic, just like so many of us. That was the only way we could reach out to people. So, and then with, the interest of LinkedIn and using as a digital marketing platform, that's been a really big change that we've made in the recent couple of years.
Yeah. So I looked at your website And I love it. You are really
Thank you.
you are ahead of the game. No, hats off
Thank
for
you.
that one, because it's difficult for manufacturing reps. I think I've seen that in the industry where they're like, yeah, they're like, it's always about budget. It's always about budget. No, but and your strategy as well, right? Because some will say, oh, yeah, but it's the manufacturer, right? They need to promote it and give everything for us. But you as a manufacturing rep, you are actually spending and putting it into the strategy. That's how I see it when I look at your website. So has that been a tough decision, or has that been an ongoing that this is where you want to be?
No, this is it was not a tough decision at all. So we really, embracing how we represent and market ourselves, but also our manufacturers has been key. So we're really, focused on bringing their technologies and products to our customer base, whether it's through our website, which does talk about who we are, but then also our manufacturers. But then when we're on the LinkedIn presence, we've done much more of a marketing focused approach. So we'll highlight the products, but we've also tried to put more personal spin on our LinkedIn posts because, we're still about people. So, even though I have this great product, I'm also still a person. And I think the customers and, will react really, really well to that when they get that personal side and personal touch to what you're trying to sell to.
Yeah, no, it is, right? Because there's a person behind the product. Yeah. There's a person behind that sales call. So to get more personal. What about like the family feeling? I think when you, I think there's two aspects here, but I want to ask you as well, because you have your own family, right? I have my own family.
Do.
You have your, no, right? But you have your second family, which is your job and all the colleagues, right? And if you change job, right, you are divorcing that family, getting a new family. So how do with the whole balance of creating your second family, let's call the company your second family, how what challenges have you seen, and how do you keep that family connection, if that's what we call it?
I really think our company is a family atmosphere. That's one of the best things I think that we have is our culture with each other, because I think that translates to how we interact with our manufacturers, how we communicate with them, how we communicate with our customers, because we really do have a close personal connection with each other first and foremost, and then that really kind of translates as we go out into the market and out into the customer base. So the majority of people within Kruvand have been there for a very, very long time. However, we have the newer influx of people who've been there, between 1 and 6 years as well. So we keep adding those that are new, but the people who are still here still want to stay. I think it's how close we all are together. We're also an ESOP company. So that is another way I think that really creates a cohesive atmosphere where we share in the highs, we share in the lows, we support each other. If somebody's out of town, another person's able to cover for their customer calls, or, it's that kind of atmosphere makes us all even closer, and we can celebrate each other too. And that's because we all can share in those big wins. So I think that's really what's made our company culture really, really special.
Yeah. Did you stay really strong as well under the pandemic, and how you communicate across the company? Because when I see, again, with different companies, some struggle, right? Maybe not the manufacturing reps, but where company was in the office and suddenly everybody was outside or at home. And now, with your organization, I'm sure you were used to having remote salespeople out on in their cars, right? Driving around, maybe not under the pandemic, but again, right? No, so how did you take that as an advantage? I'm sure you did, but how did you do that?
I think, just like what you said, the outside people, we were already used to working remote. So that didn't seem to change much, even in the way we communicated with our inside team and, the people who were inside doing IT and all of that stuff, because all of us were always already out, and we were contacting them either via email or phone, and then we had this additional tool where we could see each other's faces, which was even nicer. But I think the only thing that we were kind of initially everyone was concerned about what's going to happen. We're working from home, but our inside team is always also really, really close together. So they were doing group chats in Teams and ways to communicate like they always did, just through a virtual channel versus being in person and shouting, over the cubicle or meeting up in the, kitchen to get some coffee and talking about something. So, they were still able to do that. They just didn't do it,
in person.
in person.
Right. Yeah.
So they were able to maintain that, and we have been overall really able to maintain it very, very well, which I'm really happy.
Good. So you're actually coming out stronger as a team.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Let's talk about a little bit about the industry with what's happening, manufacturing electronics. So I want to have your aspect, right? Because we have a great year last year. This year everybody's like, why did everybody stock up everything? No. So what's happening right now? On your side that you're saying, okay, this is what's going on, and this is maybe how we're pivoting or what we're changing.
Yeah, I think, like what you said, this year is a mystery to a lot of people. There's many thoughts on the topic. Is it going to stay flat throughout the whole summer, pick up fourth quarter, be slow into next year? There's a lot of, schools of thought around what may happen. But what we are seeing and noticing and trying to take advantage of is that the customers themselves are out of that expedite mode. And if they're waiting on one or two components, they just know when those are coming. So they're actually taking the time now to do design work. So that's where we got to get engaged with them on this side of things. Okay, now you have time to design. So what can we help you with there? And maybe they won't be buying that right away, but if you plant those seeds and get in on the design at this stage in the game, you'll be much better as the year progresses and into next year. So that's been our focus, and we're seeing a lot of that now, which is great.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. And we're also having a lot of, people come into town again and traveling around. So that's been helpful too. The customers seem to be excited to see people, they're still working hybrid. So it can be a challenge, but it's fantastic. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, it's great to see this new development, right? It's like, then we also know new products is coming out. No,
that's right.
but again, you have to get used to this hybrid world. And I'm sure you have it as well, maybe in your office. But this hybrid world of how do you connect with the engineers or the sales? Because is it a Zoom call, right, or a Teams call? Is that what you start out with, or do you actually say, I'm in the office now? Everybody needs to come in as engineering, and you do a presentation. How do you make sure that you reach out to all of them?
To customers. So with customer base, if we're trying to set up calls with them, either just on our own or with manufacturer, it's kind of good to know what days they're in the office. If they're in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, some of them are in Monday through Wednesday, but there are most that are still allowing work from home schedules. So we just kind of try to gear towards that time. You definitely have to make that interest level there has to be something that they want to hear, to be able to see you. So it's not, hey, I'm going to come by and blah, blah, blah.
I'm bringing lunch. No.
Exactly. So, but that has been the other way too, is if they're not in the office, okay, well, you want to meet out for lunch somewhere. And that sometimes has worked as well. So those are the kind of, ways that we've taken advantage of that, and just trying to understand which companies work which way, which engineers are in on these days and which aren't. And, when people come to visit, we'll try and explain, look, it's not always going to work out really smoothly like it used to, because some companies are still at home on these days or whatever. So it's been interesting, but it's not bad. And it's just different. So you just got to learn how to, operate in this new way that things are operating, and not be afraid of it. And go for it. I mean, it's not depressing.
It's not changing, right? It's you adapting to this kind of way of working.
Don't mourn what went away. Just, okay, this is the new way, so let's just do the new way, and it'll be great.
No, that's good. What about your success working with manufacturers? Because it's being, on getting information out of suppliers or manufacturers, right? So you can reuse that or make other kind of content, and then you can use that to go out and share that with your customer base. What's working for you, or do you don't need to put names, but is there anyone where you're saying company A is doing really well because they're doing this? If you have any examples, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, so I really think what's been most helpful is the companies and manufacturers who provide or give us the content that we can make our own, sort of either short flyers that we can attach or, share in the body of an email or attach to an email or put up on a visual, like on LinkedIn or through a virtual call. So the way that it makes it easiest for the customer to see what it is, those have been the most successful ways. And, partnering with the manufacturers on the marketing side has been just as important as, finding out what's coming out through engineering and working the technical side of things. So it's new and different because you're working a lot of different sides of, the manufacturers here as we've moved into the, communication and digital age more and more so. So, but I think the most successful companies have really good marketing information, excellent sample programs, and that kind of thing.
So they're stepping up. That's good.
Yeah,
but
they are.
They are. They need to, and they must. What about video? And if it's like web, if it's training right through video, or if it's a video where an engineer is presenting the product or something like that. Have you any good experience of what works well in your channel?
We have not. I think the most successful way to utilize video have been more of having customers and distributors attend webinars.
Yeah.
Or, really short videos that we may have gotten from the manufacturer, we'll put on our YouTube channel or we'll, put out that way. But I personally, we haven't personally made any of our own videos yet, which we probably need to. But I think utilizing those has been helpful. And having the customers attend webinars that our manufacturers are putting on has been really helpful too.
Yeah. No, I totally right. It takes time to make video. It's not like something you just do if you want something nice. But I think it's what you're saying, having them short is actually a really good thing, because the attention, you sit there, and if you have to watch something for an hour,
yeah,
right. You need to focus on it. Okay, good. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about the what's happening in the industry as well, because we are the industry, everybody who is in the industry, right? If we go to a conference, right? We just went to one, right? Yeah. The aging of the industry and the lack of women in the industry. No. So what's how do we get new blood in to the industry?
Yeah, that's been, something that I know we've been talking about for a little while now. And, the more programs that are coming out through the industry associations, I think is really helping to raise those up and train those up who are coming in new. So, you have like the Spark programs and different training programs for new employees through both ERA and the ECIA. They're both trying to offer those initial training programs to new employees, new people in the industry. Yeah. And I think, finding the people that are out there that are new and young that we need to bring into the industry, it's important to connect with them on something that they feel is really important. So we as a company, I know the industry as a whole, are really trying to focus on, fulfilling certain ESG portfolios or DE&I, and making sure that you're meeting those things that are important to the next generation of employees that are coming out of college, that are seeking for something that they want to matter in. I mean, we all want to matter in what we do, right? We all want to find passion in what we do. And so you want to work for a company that shares those thoughts, shares those beliefs. So we want to make sure that we're reaching those as an industry overall, finding ways to connect. And one of the conferences that we were at recently, there was a younger gentleman in the room, and he was talking, and he said, I wish I could see more about, I see a lot of products, but I want to see what are some of the fun things that you guys do. Yeah. And so that really started my company as a whole thing. We're like, every conference now, we're going to be taking pictures of what's going on. So we kind of share that. Like, we don't all just sit around and, stare at a screen or stare at people. There's a lot of, excitement in the design, and you can't necessarily share customers' design pictures. So if you want to show the human side, the family side, the friendship side that all of us have with each other as an industry, because it's big, but it's not. It's also kind of small.
Yeah, right. I think it's a big industry, but a small world, because when we meet at different conferences, it's like, oh my God, there you are again, right?
I love you. Let me give you a hug. I think that's really important too, is to share that as well, like what we're about. and I think that's a really cool and key way to reach the next generation employee.
Yeah. So if somebody is starting to get into the industry, and if they're new, what kind of advice would you give, like a leadership advice?
Well, I think it's really important to know that it's going to change when you come in. Whatever's going to happen, it's not going to be this way for long. It's something different. But to me, that's one of the most fascinating things about our industry. The lines are changing, the products are changing, the technology is always evolving, always changing. So there's always something new, which makes it so exciting, so much less than dealing with the same thing every day. So I think that was something that I would want to have heard, I guess, when I was first starting too, that don't freak out when something changes. Be excited about it and just see, okay, how can we take this and use it to our advantage and move forward? So I think that would be definitely some advice I would give. And also get to know as many people as you can, because the more people you know, the more you grow, and you can grow your network, you can grow your customer base network. I mean, there's so many ways to engage with each other to help each other.
Yeah. So now that you've been 24 years, I'm impressed here. So what kind of different roles did you have? Because you haven't been the president all the time.
No, I have not. That's really recent, actually.
Yeah, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I started with another rep company, actually, right out of college, and I was in inside sales there. I started with Kruvand also as in outside sales. So I had been with my first company 2.5 years in inside, then I went into outside for 2.5 years. Kruvand bought that company. And so when I started at Kruvand, I was in outside sales, and then I took over distribution. So I was handling distribution for all of this time and a customer base, and then got promoted to VP of distribution. So I was a VP within the organization. And then just April of this year, so just a very few months ago, our CEO put me as the president, and he's retaining the CEO role. And then we've had some other changes as well, a new VP of sales and director of Latin America. So we had some different changes in the organization, but those changes were really exciting because it's kind of like how we wanted to go into the future. We're all together. We have the management in line, and everybody's ready to move forward into the future. So it's been pretty exciting. But that's the two roles that I had have been in inside sales and then in outside. So, but it's been great.
Yeah, no, what a journey. So when you've been in these still different roles, or just getting bigger in responsibility as well, how have you learned some of the new, the new skills that you have to learn? How have you learned it?
I think from your colleagues, for sure, as you're going through. And I think coming from inside sales into outside sales is it's such a good experience to have, because when you go into the field, what your inside person is having to deal with, which is a lot, and you want to be able to help them as much as you can. So get them as much information as you can, because there's these things that they have to face on a daily basis that if you've never done that job, you don't know how hard it is. So I think having a respect for that position helpful for me. And then learning to work with the channel and how important your distribution partners are in selling your product lines. And that is such a key thing to know how to navigate through that as well, because they're the ones that they're holding stock. They've got salespeople on the ground too. Partnering with them is really important to all of us at our company. So that's something we really, really focus on too. And then with the new lines, you get product trainings, and you learn them, and and then you kind of get specialized with your accounts with that certain type of product. So it's a slow process. It does take a lot of time, but
you turn into the expert. No, that's good. That's good. But what about, again, over the 24 years? I'm like blown away here. No, but what about technology, like changes, right, in the platforms or your ecosystem? That has to be a journey as well.
Oh yeah, for everybody, right? So we started out, when I first started, we had fax machines. And you'd walk in and the paper would be all rolled up in the bottom of the room. You'd have to go cut it. And so that was a long time ago. Guaranteed. Millennials and the Gen Z, they're like, what?
Yeah.
So we started there. And then I think just watching the way we as an industry have moved away from mailing things or faxing things to digitally sending stuff, even communicating the customers and the manufacturers using electronic, like EDI communications, and there's so much done digitally. It's so much faster, so you can move faster and react faster, and you can communicate on the other side of the world, and you just may have to wait until the next morning, but if somebody's looking at something that you sent overnight, but it's amazing that we can do that. And as before, you'd have to call, or you'd have to I don't know, send a letter, which I don't even know about that anymore.
Right. It's only when you do the Christmas card, right?
Exactly. That's right. So it's incredible. And then like what you're doing right now, this platform as well. It's such a huge technology shift over.
It is
24 years.
No. Okay. Then, looking back, if you had to give yourself like an advice, like 20 years ago, maybe 24 years ago, you decide, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I would say just really be bold, be sure and confident in what you're doing, and where you're headed in your mindset, but also a little bit to what I was just saying before, be prepared for change. When you only have a short experience of what it is in the workforce, and you don't really realize what ups and downs can happen, and you don't know how to handle that. So telling my younger self, I would have said, hey, don't worry, there's going to be a lot of shift, and it's just part of the nature of the industry and how our business changes from year to year, and just to roll with it. Don't be scared by it, to just embrace it, and keep your head up and keep going.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's I don't know, we use the word disruption a lot, right? Maybe that's too harsh, I think, right? Because it's been a big one. But no, but again, right? Be ready for that things are changing, and then adapt into it, right? So I can totally agree with you. So no, if any of the listener wants to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tobi Cornell. You can also check out our website, which is Kruvand.com. So we would love to connect with anybody, and feel free to reach out. And I look forward to talking with you. Awesome.
I will put that in the recording notes, and also on the episode that's on the mindinnovation.com. So thank you so much, Tobi. I loved it. I think the journey of what you have done, and just to hear some of the success, is just it's really, really great. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to chatting again and seeing you soon, I hope.
Oh, yeah. We will. If you like Mind Innovation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the show wherever you get your podcast. You can follow Sannah Vinding and Mind Innovation on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And make sure to check out mindinnovation.com. Stay curious and keep learning. See you next time.